we're getting started with a game that I wanted to take a quick look into. You know, definitely heard a lot of positive things and been wanting to play this game for a while. It's definitely, I'm a big Spider-Man fan, big Spider-Man mark, so definitely wanted to try and play this game for a little bit. You know, get the feel of it. Definitely hyped for it, and definitely wanted to try it for this little quick play, you know, edition of great games played poorly. So if I suck at it, well then, don't look elsewhere if you want, you know, this game played professionally. That's for sure. So let's press X and let's get started.
Walloping web snappers. What was that?
Who am I? Do you really want to know? If someone told you it was just a regular kid living in an ordinary life, you'd be wrong. Hi, I'm Tobey Maguire. Okay. Oh, gotta get the backdrop all settled in. Gotta make sure everything's all in its place. Gotta give you some backstory without telling you any actual backstory, which is good. You know, just getting you into it. No origin story, because Lord knows we've already had the origin story for God knows how else. Energy bad. Okay, cool. Space Monkey. Cool. Alright, we got Matt Gargan. We got Wilson Fisk. We have Rhino. I forget what his... Adrian Toomes. We got the Vulture. We got Uncle Ben. And we got Phone.
All units, level 4 mobilization. Location, Fisk Tower.
Let's see. Okay, and we have our Nathan Drake, Peter Parker. Our anime protagonist. Of course, like any anime protagonist, you gotta have toast in your mouth. Toast is the only quick thing you can make before you head out to school. Okay, so alright, so design is mostly based on the Spider-Man Marvel movie versions, which is good. It adds a lot, especially with the eye animations, you know, like early, like Ditko, and even some Todd McFarlane stuff. Design definitely based off of John Romita. Not John Romita Sr., not John Romita Jr. Okay. Looking good thus far. Okay, so when... Oh, okay, just throws you in. Again, I've seen a good chunk of Let's Plays on this, but like I said before, watching it and playing it are two completely different things. Okay. Definitely the swinging feels pretty good. Nice.
Captain Watanabe.
Did you take him down yet?
No. We're at Fisk Tower, but still waiting on the warrant.
She's in the comics, I know for sure.
You know how his lawyers are. This one needs to go by the book.
Come on, Yuri. I've been waiting 8 years for this.
You really want to help?
Oh yeah, if I recall, I think the storyline is that this is 8 years after he became Spider-Man, so he's still moderately semi-new, I guess, to the world. Somewhat. Urban legend kind of thing, I guess. Wow, this... And looks amazing. Wow, okay. Oh. Okay. Don't mind any background noises. Apparently, the landlord decided to just start on doing some construction work, I guess, on his room or whatnot. And my cat's fidgety right now.
Yes. Sorry. Yes. Dealing with a personal issue. I'll be in soon. Promise.
Wow, okay. This
Better wrap
looks
this up quick, then get
gorgeous. Wow, I'm in awe. Nice. This definitely feels and looks good. I can't wait until it's to test out the combat mechanics. But overall, it's impressive thus far. It's surprising to know that a creation by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, has almost surpassed its creators in terms of popularity and longevity. Okay, so this would be our introduction to the fighting mechanics, style mechanics, whatever.
Bring in the hammer.
Crossbones looking person. Hired goons as always. You always gotta have your hired goons. How do you not see that or hear that until it's too close? But again, that's movie magic, movie game magic for you. Okay. Not bad. Alright, let's see where it goes. But again, like, I've been a fan of Spider-Man for a while, for a long while. It's one of those characters that you like. You don't even have to know certain backstories to it. You just... The outfit looks good. The villains, again, like I say, like I'll say it before, and I'll say it many times. You know, again, dodge, dodge, dodge. Okay, this feels good. All right, this is all right. Cool, cool. All right, sweet. Like sometimes you barely like. They're fans of Spider-Man just for Spider-Man himself. They don't even need to know certain backstories. Well, back then it was like Spider-Man, you know, and just certain villains. Again, you can thank all the cartoons and all the, like, you know, certain books, maybe not even fully on comics, because Lord knows, again, some people, you know, comics are weird, and depending on what it is, it's not like you're gonna, you know, be able to, you know, tell like a 3-year-old or even like a 7-year-old about the Clone Saga. A breakdown of that. Okay.
Almost done here. You?
We're about to go in.
Took a punch there, but still good. Let's see now. Definitely feels, and the reaction is faster than the Batman Arkham games, which is okay. That went nowhere. Okay, and there you go. We got spooged all over you. That it?
All done.
All right, cool, cool. Nice little quick introduction to how the battling, you know, system works. All right, and back into gameplay. Sweet. Again, the rendering and how they made, you know, Times Square look like, it looks pretty awesome, to mind you. Okay. What are those weird indicators I see? Are those things I can web from? Either way, like, I guess I'll learn as I go. Oh, cool. So we get our proper villain, Wilson Fisk, Vincent D'Onofrio. But it's like Batman and Spider-Man both share like the best like rogues gallery ever. Like they have the best villains. Like it's hard to write for Superman, although you could write for Superman. Just people make up weird excuses. Like you could, but his rogue gallery is not like, you know, Spider-Man or, you know, Batman's rogue gallery, where they're just great characters. And it's interesting to know that. Nice cinematic look. And right into the fighting. Oh, into the fighting. Okay. Okay, focus attack. This combo.
Sorry to break
Alright,
it to you,
that sounds
but you
fair.
do not got this, buddy.
Okay. And oh.
Thanks for the confidence boost,
Either
guys.
way, it's like it's interesting to know like this character has so much longevity and again so much love. Although yeah, again the comics are gonna be weird, and comics are not gonna be for everyone when it comes to certain character origins and things like that, which I can understand from a perspective of a company trying something new. You know, like the developers here. You know, they will give you an origin story. It just won't be Spider-Man's, at least. Maybe they'll say it in passing, or like they did it already in the. Okay, I need to learn how to avoid that. In terms of just. Okay, yeah, that didn't come out pretty well, but you know, I'm trying here, folks. It's interesting to know that. You know, it's weird, the origins of Spider-Man, the comic, not the character. We already know radioactive spider, great power, you know, comes great responsibility. You know, it's definitely something you take to heart. Oh, heal when you get your thing filled up. Alright, cool. That out of a one-shot book, Amazing Fantasy 17, is it? Yeah, I think it's Amazing Fantasy 17. That the book was, you know, gonna get canceled, and you know, out of, you know, advice from his wife, like always, you know, she's the one responsible for making him do Fantastic Four to begin with. You know, I'll go into that first, and I'll go into Spider-Man. Like the Fantastic Four, you know, was based because I believe the publisher of DC Comics and the owner of Marvel, I think, were playing golf. And at that time, you know, Justice League of America was doing really well by, you know, throwing in all the heroes. Mind you, this isn't the Justice League that we know that had Batman, Superman. This was, I think it had the first Green Lantern, first Flash, but then it had other characters on it. And it was doing really well. So Marvel and Retaliation decided to make a team hero book, you know, and Stan Lee was on the verge of just, I believe, quitting anyway. So he was given the task to write Fantastic Four. He had his mindset on quitting. So on advice from his wife, she told him, like, hey, if you're gonna quit, why don't you write the story you want to write? Which, you know, he did. He wrote the complex storylines, he made the characters very grounded, you know, family setting, you know, and, you know, focused on the whole family setting of the Fantastic Four. And guess what? It did so well because, you know, characters at that time were, you know, heroic and things. They didn't have, you know, complex, you know, family issues. They weren't a lot, you know, they were always rich, billionaires and things like that, or were given powers, you know, destined to be heroes. Wow, what was that? Is that like a... Okay. And, you know, so he gave them complex storylines, he gave them conflict via by themselves or something happening outside of their own, you know, what they can control. And hey, guess what? It did well. So he was able to, you know, because of that, it sold so well. So he kind of had like, you know, control over that. So he, from then on, he was able to write the stories he wanted to. Now, the origin of Spider-Man is kind of similar, whereas, you know, he was still, you know, yeah, Fantastic Four, I believe was first. And out of that, you know, he was in charge of writing the last issue of Amazing Fantasy, 16 or 17. Where he, you know, because originally Amazing Fantasy, the comic book, was an anthology story. Something in the vein of Tales from the Crypt, but not scary stories. Maybe some stories based. Some had scary stories, but a good chunk of them were very science fiction heavy. And the book wasn't doing well in sales, so he. Oh, okay. All right, that's fine. How am I supposed? Oh, there you go. Prompts show up, and there you go. And the book was getting canceled anyway. So they were at the time they said that, you know, sidekicks. Young, he wanted to make a hero that was. He always had, I guess, the idea in the back of his mind. He always had the back in mind to make a hero that was young, you know. But at the time, you know, young characters are mostly sidekicks or people you save, but they weren't the main focus or the main hero. So at that time, you know, since Amazing Fantasy was gonna get canceled, he decided to write the last story, in it being, of course, the introduction to the Spider-Man character. And again, because it's sold so well, they said, hey, can you make that character an ongoing book? Which is interesting because the first issue of, you know, Spider-Man, the comic book, had an appearance by the Fantastic Four. Sorry if I just went on a comic book, like, tirade origin story. Even though half the people who probably watch this already know this. Oh. Hack the planet! Sorry, a little bit of hackers there. God, that movie is so out of place.
True, but that's part of my charm, isn't it?
But, you know, it's interesting to know that, you know, if it's simple, if you just allow someone to do something, there will be an audience for it. And especially when it became, you know, okay, what's this? Oh, Alright. Oh, okay, cool.
Look around you.
Let's see how well against these. Okay, not doing very well against these hired goons, and I need to master my skill at dodging. Okay.
Without me, the
But again, it's one of those interesting stories where, you know, just let someone. I can understand from a business standpoint sometimes that you don't want to take the risk because, you know, sometimes you're putting maybe a lot of money behind it or whatever, a lot of time, and it might go for naught, you know. But when it pays off, it pays off. Okay, I'm not doing too well here. But again, great games paid poorly. You know, that title is very apropos. Oh, either way. Okay. Okay, one dude, I can do this. I can't do it well, but I can do it okay. Alright.
Yuri, an explosion just...
I saw it. Fisk could have the whole place wired. I'm sending in a bomb unit.
I'll make sure no one gets in their
Cool,
way.
cool. Okay. More hired goons. Okay, so that's like a targeting system, I guess, for maybe precise web shooting. Okay. But again, it's like, it's interesting. Like again, I guess there's a reason why certain game companies don't take the chance, because again, there's a lot of money and time that sometimes they don't have, depending on the publisher or whatever the company that wants that contracted the developers to make this game or whatnot. So it's understandable why sometimes companies go to the more familiar than trying something new. You can kind of understand, but then sometimes like I want something different. Okay, little walk and talk segment here. All right.
People need a way.
Okay. Hold.
I'll find them.
Okay. Again, it plays well, runs well, it looks well, it looks amazing. Okay.
I'll lift it. When you're free, get out fast. If you can walk,
Oh, and of course the iconic shot from that comic book. Although the origins of it is because he's trapped underneath debris because, you know, he needs to get this medicine to Uncle Ben is in the hospital. He gets the courage to do so he can, you know, live another day and also, you know, save Uncle Ben. And I didn't mind the version they used for Spider-Man Homecoming. Again, that was pretty good. And oh god, I loved how they're the Far From Home Mysterio, best villain.
Could be better.
Oh, good old
We
Fishbowl.
just had to ground our last one.
Is he in this game? I don't even know.
We have no one to stop it from landing.
I know Doc Ock. He takes prominence in terms of like I guess main baddie.
because he probably
And I
was.
did see Norman Osborn, but I don't think we're gonna see Green Goblin. I know Mr. Negative. Now there were a lot of people who didn't know who Mr. Negative was when the trailer first, appeared on the gameplay trailer for this game first arrived. And I knew who Mr. Negative was, but because by then I got back into comics. Again, I think I mentioned before the reason I stopped reading comics in general because I was a comics and manga reader. So that's like double the finances spent on on a particular fandom.
A little excessive, don't you think?
Okay, that's it. It sucks you can't have one without the other. At least for me. Like, I couldn't, And again, there are comic book stories, comic book, eras, or, certain plot lines, or, sagas. There are, easily forgettable or regrettable. Again, some people are definitely the Clone Saga being one of them that turned off a lot of people, to buying any more Spider-Man comics. And the whole thing of One Last Day, Final Day, where they rebooted Spider-Man's marriage, and also the other Spider-Man story where Doc Ock takes the body of Peter Parker, and things like that.
Settle down. I've got
Yeah,
enough for
again,
everybody.
for characters that have lasted this long, you always have to do that, the reset of time, or take different approach approaches to make the character relevant. Again, character's been out for like what, 65, almost 75 years. With Batman, Superman being the oldest too. You know, you gotta do something eventually to reset the clock now and then. I can almost forgive them, you know, especially if we have good stories coming out of them by very talented writers or talented artists. You know, sometimes one carries the other. Okay, are we here yet? No,
You guys all right?
We were just about to
Okay.
call for backup.
I think I'm it.
Lead the way. We'll be right behind you. Heads up, boss.
Oh, it's a swerve. Vince Russo must be behind this. Oh god, I swear to God. Again, if none of you know my references, I am so sorry. It's either wrestling references or be it you know, certain things in the vocabulary that it's part of pro wrestling. You know, again, also shout outs to OSW Review and Matthew at Matchamania and, you know, the Holic and whatnot. You know, gotta, these hired goons with the shields. Okay. Oh, nice. Oh, hey, buddy. That sucked. Ah, sweet chin music in the back of the head. Okay.
Hey, Yuri. Looks like some of your guys were on Fisk's payroll. Good
Alrighty.
news is they were Willie's last line of defense.
Nice
I'm right
clean
outside his
sweep of
office.
the area.
Take him down.
Yes, I'm pretty good right now.
With pleasure.
But oh god, I'm gonna go on different tangents. Like, I wasn't aware of the 1970s like CBS Spider-Man TV show until it they had a rerun of the movie / television pilot on USA Network on one of
Writing
those
your memoirs?
afternoons.
Don't forget the hyphen between Spider and Man.
It's
Get the chopper.
and again,
I won't be
and
long.
again, being someone who does cartoon retrospectives, you end up reading up on a lot of
Surprised
other
you made it
things,
this far.
you know, in the background, like the fact that there was a
Your
Doctor
foolishness
Strange television movie
ends now.
that was supposed to be a window for, you know, a series if it made a lot, but the movie pilot
You do know I can still see you, right?
aired, I think, at the same time as the last episode of MASH or something like that. I forget, which is why it didn't do well. It was okay. It looked okay. Also funny that I think Full Moon Pictures also made their own rendition of. Okay, what am I supposed to do?
It's reloading.
This is my Matrix in the hallway moment. Oh, okay. Am I supposed? Oh, Jesus! I gotta start reading more puff. Okay, that didn't do well. Oh. Okay. Oh, well, that. Okay. That's not helpful at all. Can I? Oh, but oh, jeez. Okay. Okay. Ooh. Oh, jeez. Just barely. Okay. I gotta get the hang of this. That Full Moon Pictures made a Doctor Strange movie, but they weren't able to license the rights. But they still made it anyway under another name, Dr. Mordred, which was again basically Doctor Strange. They just had to change the names because they weren't able to get the rights, or the rights, you know, didn't
You
fall
seem
through.
angry.
Oh, cool. So you get our Wilson Fisk boss fight.
Take your best shot.
And of course we all know about the Bill Bixby Incredible Hulk show, which was, I think, it lasted for a good chunk of reasons. Oh my god, funny enough, I wasn't aware of the made-for-TV movies that followed the show, you know, until, you know, eventually they aired on TV, and I saw, oh, Trial of the Incredible Hulk, and of course, what is it, something about the Incredible Hulk, I forgot what it was, Revenge or Curse or whatever, and of course the TV, okay, it was Trial of the Incredible Hulk, which had Daredevil out of all people, and the Kingpin, but the Kingpin was played by I forgot his name. He plays the dwarf in the Lord of the Rings movies, but he's also known to others as the dude with the beard in Sliders. Remember Sliders? Remember that TV show with O'Donnell? What's his name? Okay, good. One of these processed thus far. Jerry O'Donnell? Yeah, Sliders. But he was there. He played the Kingpin in the most hilarious. Him and Daredevil, and it was a pretty interesting, version of Daredevil. Yes, he wore all black, but again, it was very ninja, which was pretty cool at the time. And again, I guess it was a pretty interesting attempt of introducing, I guess, the early stages of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or should I say, the Marvel made-for-television cinematic universe. I also like the fact that Hulk and Daredevil team up to fight against the Kingpin, and how the Kingpin escapes is the most hilarious thing you'll ever see. I think he leaves on a floating, table or a desk, a floating. It's hilarious. You guys. There was another one that he meets Thor, and it's the comic version of Thor. Not he's already Thor. This one that he meets Richard Blake. Richard Blake, I think it's his human counterpart, because again, unlike the movies, Donald Blake. There we go. Donald Blake, I believe, is his actual. How in the comics it works is that a human Thor inhabits, I guess would be the precise term, the body of a human, in order for him to exist in our world. But how that works is Donald Blake has to strike a twig or a walking stick. Yeah, a walking stick on the ground, and he transforms into Thor. So, dual identities. While the movies just pretty much say he's been Thor, he's Thor all the time. Okay. Do this. Oh, okay. Oh, that didn't come out really well, but okay, let's try again, shall we? Oh god, okay. That didn't do that well, and I can already see that beat. Alright, let's try again. Let's try it again with feeling, shall we? And how that works is, again, Hulk teams up with Thor. Hilarious, because it's played by... This dude seems to be in a lot of, cheap movies. I think he was a former football player or something like that. I forget. And it's hilarious, because I think one of the scenes is that he helps him... and again, Bruce Banner was always played by Bill Bixby. And again, Bill Bixby, added a lot of, emotional... a lot of emotional character baggage to when he played, his Bruce Banner part. Now, the only thing I will never forgive is the death of the Incredible Hulk made-for-TV movie, which was pretty much the end of the Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno, driven Incredible Hulk, series. It was supposed to be an ending to the series as well, which already the series ended a while ago. But it lived through these made-for-TV movies, which were, again, very popular and, brought in the ratings and whatnot. But the fact that I can't believe that how the series ended and how the Hulk was ultimately killed is he fell off a freaking plane. No, literally, that's how. I think a plane blew up, or he fell off. Either way, the dude fell off a plane and died. That's how you kill the Hulk. Oh god, that was hilarious. Okay, get that in there. Who am I hitting? Nobody! Okay, that's... Can we... Oh, good! Cutscene. Okay, time... Okay, quick time effects, which is fine. What? Oh, I can't pay attention to squat. But either way, it was interesting how these made-for-TV movies were always trying to, like people say about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it kind of did exist in the made-for-TV movie world. Let's see. I already talked before about the Justice League live-action show, which was crap. Really crap. Okay, so first boss fight. Defeated. But it's always interesting to know that you know, how everything would have been different if the made-for-TV movies had been more popular. Which is funny. Speaking of made-for-TV movies, there was a Wonder Woman movie, but didn't star Linda Carter.
You know, I think you've
It
got more energy
started
there than I do.
an Olympic gold medalist, a gymnast or something. I forgot her name. Not Mary Lou Retton, not her.
You're gonna need it.
But it starred someone else, and she was blonde. And this was during the 70s era of Wonder Woman, where I think she was wearing it was during her relaunch, where they completely threw away
Cuban is
all
heading to
of her
End of an
Greek
era.
mythology,
I think I should
and they
celebrate.
turned her into a
Take a
secret
vacation.
agent. So they took that era of Wonder Woman. Mind you, this is the Wonder Woman era that everybody hated, because you completely threw away all the Themyscira, Diana of Troy, all the Greek mythology, and just turned her into a secret agent. You know, because again, it was the 70s. It was the style at the times. Okay, so experience points. Okay, whatever. And I guess they took that part of Wonder Woman and used it as a television pilot for to hopefully turn it into a series on ABC, if I correct. And the fact that the character A was blonde, and the fact that the main villain was Ricardo Montalban, literally reprising his role or from the character he would later on portray in Fantasy Island, minus the Nanu, I forgot it was his tattoo, his little buddy.
I'm almost there.
It's hilarious because it's bad. She barely spends time in the costume until like the last 20 minutes of it. I mean, for crying out loud, the 92 Captain America movie, you know, at least the dude showed up in costume like in the beginning segments, some parts in the middle, and maybe the last ending. Probably showed up more in costume than this Wonder Woman did. And of course, that Wonder Woman made for TV movie did bring ratings. It did okay, but not enough to what ABC would warrant. Like, let's let that cool down, and we'll come back to it if we can.